Being a self-taught developer has been one of the best decisions that I've ever made. But there are some challenges in my career that I wish I would have knew about before I got started. If you're not aware of these challenges, you will know after this video. The first, and by far, is definitely imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be, as if you're a fraud. And I've had to deal with this many times, especially early on in my career. So I feel that the earlier on in your career, the more you have to deal with imposter syndrome. You know, it's natural for us to compare ourselves to other people, but it's even worse when you get into the tech field, because everybody wants to be smarter than the next person. So even though you don't have a degree, you may be working around a lot of people that actually do have degrees, even though they may not be as talented as you are. But if you do work with other developers and they are really talented and they have a degree, sometimes I naturally find myself comparing that maybe they're a lot smarter than I am because they have a degree. But that's not really the case, because then I run into other developers, other engineers that didn't have a degree also, and they were like geniuses to me. It's just they put more time in, they put more effort, and they just had more years of experience than I did at the time. I remember when I was just leaving the junior developer range up until like a mid-range, and that's when I kind of felt it the most. When I came in as a junior dev, I knew I didn't have a degree, I knew I didn't have a lot of experience, but I knew how to figure things out. I knew where to find the answers to the questions that I had, and I knew how to develop. I knew how to script, I knew how to code from everything that I had learned beforehand. So I didn't really see the need to compare myself because I was a junior, you know, it's entry level. You know, what am I really comparing to? But the higher I started to move up, I started to see where my faults were, and I started to see where my weak areas were. A lot of times it dealt with like architecture type things, you know, things that are a little bit deeper than just scripts and things like that. More about the overall system and how development works as a whole. But that's normal. I came into development with the wrong perception of thinking that everybody was a genius, everybody knew everything, until I realized that even the other developers that were way more experienced than me, they didn't know everything either. They knew how to find the answers. The main skill of being a developer is learning how to find what you need to know, not necessarily knowing everything. I feel like I'm a master at Google now. Even if it's things outside of development, I'm a master at finding things on Google because that's what you spend most of your time on when you're trying to figure out an issue, trying to fix a bug, and trying to code something new. And it's also important to remember that these companies, I mean, they hired you for a reason. So if they believe in you, then the least you can do is believe in yourself. The second is salary negotiation. So I've been learning this a lot, especially recently, that, you know, companies view new hires as a risk versus a reward. So obviously, the lower the salary, the less risk it is for them in case things don't work out. The higher you start to move up and the more you advance in your career, the salary negotiations can start to get a little tricky. Companies always like to put that they want, you know, a computer science degree in their requirements. And in my opinion, I feel like they know they don't necessarily need it, but since it's in the requirements, they can kind of use that against you when it comes to your salary package, because technically you don't have all the requirements. But if you sold them on you being a good developer, you've done your projects, you've done all the work, and you know you deserve a higher salary than what they're offering you, then you need to negotiate as best you can. I made the mistake of, well, I just wanted to get in. I know a lot of people have also, you know, when you want to get that first job or even that second job, you just want to get something, you just want to take something. So salary, it's not really in the question. And for the first job, it maybe shouldn't be, because the first job is really just to get your foot in the door. You're definitely not gonna make as much money as you can, as you would as you move on. But the first job is really just getting yourself in the door. After that job and you have your experience and you know how to work with the team, you've developed different projects, you've worked on projects, you have to negotiate your salary. Don't let the fact that you don't have a degree make them discount you. And don't let imposter syndrome make you feel that you shouldn't deserve more just because you don't have a degree. For me, negotiation has always been one of those things where I just haven't been the best at it, because I've dealt with that imposter syndrome for some years, you know, as I got into the field, as I worked my way through the field. So a lot of times people will offer me a salary and I would just want to go with it because I'm like, well, you know, it's more than what I'm making right now, so why not accept it? Instead of actually doing the research and say, okay, well, how much does a front-end developer make that has 2 years of experience? Or how much does a platform engineer make that has 3 years of experience? I have to look at that instead of just saying, oh, well, I don't have a degree and I should just take what they give me. So don't discount yourself regarding salary at all, especially after your first job. Negotiate your salary and do the best you can to get as much money as you can. Another issue that I ran into was almost feeling like my teammates didn't respect me as much because I didn't have a degree. Now this was another issue that was, more prevalent as I began my career when I was, new to the field. It kind of can go either way. You have some people that are really impressed that you got into software, you got into development without a degree, but then you have some of those arrogant people that they may look down on you just because you don't have a degree. So back to my first job, I was new to the field, was completely new to everything. I didn't understand a lot of the things that were behind just scripting and coding, especially when it came to, planning projects, working with the team, how to run a sprint, how to work within a sprint, and how to deliver things on time. And everybody on my team had computer science degrees, but me. I had some people that were actually helpful to me. They would give me more advice. They would spend more time with me than they would because they saw the potential in me and they wanted me to develop. And then I had some other people to where I felt that they didn't really want to put much effort in me. They kind of just saw me as a hack or a fraud just because I didn't have a degree and I found my way into this industry some kind of way. This issue is more prevalent, once you're just getting started. But after you get some, few years of experience and, you start to build your resume outside of just your personal projects, this issue typically tends to go away. It's kind of hard to discount someone when they've been in the field for some years, whether they have a degree or not. So I feel that the longer that you're in the field, the more that you learn and the more you advance, the less issue you'll see as far as not having a computer science degree. I've actually noticed the opposite. The further I move along, if I talk to different companies, and they always ask that, that famous question, tell me about yourself. And before, I would be embarrassed a bit to say, well, I don't have a computer science degree and I got my way into the field. I would kind of feel a bit hesitant to speak on that. But now I'm extremely proud of it because I've been able to advance and prove myself in the field without a degree. So if anything, now it becomes more of a marketing thing for myself. And they look at me and they say, wow, this guy, he doesn't have a degree. And look, he's been in the field, 6 years and he's worked with this company. He's done this and done that. And they really are, really surprised to see that. Because a lot of people, they either give up or they don't believe in themselves and they end up trying something different. But in the end, don't let the fact that you don't have a degree discount you or disappoint you. In the beginning, yes, it's going to be hard. Everything is always hard in the beginning. Even just getting a job is harder in the beginning. But once you get that job, once you start getting that experience and start working on different projects, don't discount yourself when it comes to salary negotiation. Try not to let imposter syndrome make you feel too down on yourself. And don't feel like you have to always prove yourself to your teammates. As long as you're working hard, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, the main person you need to be proving yourself to is yourself. And your manager also, but you want to keep a job. But you don't have to focus so much on trying to impress your team. The thing that will impress the team, the company, your manager, and even yourself is just you proving that you can deliver on projects, proving that you're advancing technically and professionally, and everything else will work out. So these are the top 3 challenges that I faced getting into the field. I'm sure these are common issues, and they may not go away as quickly as you would like them to, but just be aware of them so you know how to approach it the next time.